Marcia Peters this afternoon and looked at our backyard. And maybe we should go back out.
Yeah,
there
well,
and
we
look
were
at
sort
the
of on the
flagging.
fence
It's
with that.
interesting.
And then we just decided, and it's,
There's a lot of activity back there.
Yeah.
We live across the road and we see vehicles coming in there
We
every
should
day.
just go back and look at
kind of
that.
happily.
Check out the
Yeah.
flagging and stuff.
I will.
there.
I will.
It's nicer around here.
It's nice and quiet. I hear they're getting rain up north.
Yeah.
Sure.
I went back there this morning and checked it out a little bit more.
That's it.
Deals online,
About what was proposing to be
Yeah.
listings and
Right.
deals.
other fixes
Stuff White Mountain
for that area.
Association.
Can I give you a call?
A lot of deals.
Take your number. I'm not sure I have it.
I know. I know. White Mountain's a big
Well,
city.
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
We did it.
Got one more minute. We'll just start. I mean, it's gonna take
3717. 2 seconds. So give you a call tomorrow morning sometime? Super, thank you. Yeah. It's, and you reminded me I should go out there and have a look too.
We were going to really just in town. Retail's no front. All foods places are closed.
Right. Whoever's the police liaison, I'm sure they will be very
Did Dave or Joe come in and say they would?
Joe's on vacation.
Oh, Joe.
He wasn't gonna be here.
because I know that Kevin Marshall.
Well, why don't we start?
back then, and he'd much
And,
rather change the better.
We got a few things to go through before we actually get to anything, so. A couple of announcements. Here we go. All right, perfect timing. Please turn off your cell phones and take any extraneous conversations out into the hall. We are making a recording of this meeting, and if anybody else records any or part of it, you need to tell us before you start recording. So we'll go to the public meeting, to public comment. Anything from the public on matters that aren't going to be heard tonight?
I'm not sure the protocol here. I'm Bruce Mandel. I live at 10 Midland in Nantucket. And I spoke at the last meeting regarding the item that you have today, the orders of condition for the Nantucket Road item. And I just wanted to make a comment
Well,
regarding...
wait, now, that hearing is closed.
It
isn't
is closed.
We can't take any more testimony on it.
It's not testimony. I just wanted to reiterate the points I made due to the continued erosion since our last meeting. And there were several conditions that we discussed that I don't know what the protocol is, so I'm just here to try to see how that works. And
Well, let's
the
wait.
points-
I think we need to wait on this, sir. If Jeff was here, I just don't want to violate any rules that, because the hearing is closed, and if there's clarification, then when we get down to doing the orders, because that should come up tonight, then we can have you clarify some things. But
Okay, I can wait.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the public? Okay, so then we go to the public hearing notices of intent, and we have a lot of continuances tonight. Number 7, got it, 13 Columbus Ave continued till the 23rd of March, and all of the following continued to the 9th. Both of Schneider's at Brock's Court, both of Zarella's at 125 and 129 Walwinet Road, Shea at 8 Wall Street, and Welsh at 101 Hill Point Road, all again continued to March 9th. And then in the request for determination grant, AB LLC continued to the 9th. And in minor mods, Oak Hill Investments continued to the 9th. So with that, we go to number 3, Quidnet Properties LLC at 84 Quidnet Road.
Thank you. For the record, Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors. This, on behalf of the applicant, Quidnet Properties LLC, this was an open public hearing in which we had received a DEP file number we're awaiting word from NHESP with regard to a septic repair and replacement on Quidnet Road. So we do have our NHESP essentially will not as adversely affect under the Act, and under the Endangered Species Act will not result in a prohibited take. So this was the last item we were waiting for. To refresh your memory, this was a septic repair out on Quidnet Road. We had received correspondence from the Board of Health, which had been introduced regarding the need for an IA, or not, the need to not use an IA system. And with that, I think you have everything you need to close the hearing.
Okay, are there any further questions for Paul on this?
Nope. Motion to,
I think we just had a question about what was going on top, right? Or are my notes?
well,
No
we
longer
had a
valid.
question on, there are a couple questions. I think that one of the original questions was what was gonna be replanted there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Paul had answered that with, what were we doing, beach plum, bayberries, beach grass? and-
Correct, yeah, the caretaker had been there, was here at the last meeting, and it indicated that that's what he was gonna do, yeah. And what I'll probably do is I'll incorporate that into the septic design plan, and then what I'll do is copy that septic design plan to the Conservation Commission also.
And then the other question was, whether or not an IA system was necessary, given the flow
The
towards the
water flow
ocean.
to the, right,
Right. And that was deemed not necessary.
yeah.
Okay. So you are ready to close?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, and the next one is the Town of Nantucket, the Quays Road layout.
So I emailed Dave to see if he was coming tonight, and he's out of the office till the 29th. So I wasn't sure
Okay.
what else was going to represent him, so I'm sorry, I said, could you please speak up? I said that Dave is out till the 29th, so unfortunately he's not here.
I'm here for that.
You're not representing the town, though. Well, this is interesting.
Yeah, 'cause I have some questions about that one,
Yeah.
actually, 'cause I want to see it.
The,
The town of Nantucket, Quays Road.
the Quays Road one.
I wonder if it'd be better if we.
What did you, should we
I think we should.
wait?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ma'am, do you want to give us your questions?
Yes, Lucy Dillon. I'm a property owner on Bassett Road. I looked in the packet, and it looks like there have been some changes in snow fencing and such, and I was curious about that. Actually, at the last meeting, we brought up the possibility of using boulders there to prevent people from driving down to the beach.
Oh, right on the.
Remember, I showed you a photograph of where there had been damage to
Right,
the,
you can see it.
and as we all know, 3 trucks drive over it, and then you've got a road.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very concerned about that, because that's one of the pristine beaches on the harbor, besides Code 2. And as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't even like to see dogs out there, but, but if you want to continue this for in 2 weeks, fine. I'll come back then
Okay.
and ask questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I think can we continue it without the app? I guess if nobody's here to represent it, yeah, so unless I hear an objection, we'll continue this one for 2 weeks. Okay, so we'll do that, continue it to the 9th. Okay, Callahan at 4 Morgan Square. Okay.
Yeah, Dave Haynes is a couple.
Oh,
He's
Dave.
not here, but I'll
Oh.
call him today.
Yeah, you mean later in the meeting?
Yeah, we can hold it.
All right, fine.
Okay, so we'll come back to this. 1 Mass Ave, Massachusetts Avenue?
That is also David Haynes'.
Oh, that's David too. Okay, we'll hold that one too, we'll wait a while. So let's go down to the amended orders that, this name I can't pronounce, 51 Crooked Lane. How do you pronounce it?
Maziz.
Maziz?
That is also David Haynes'.
Geez, no wonder. Okay, good golly. So nothing, so this takes us to, we'll go to the public meeting and do certificates of compliance at Scavo at 8 Galen Ave. Okay, Jeff recommends we can approve this apparently as, with no ongoing conditions, at least in his recommendations, so. Do I have
Check
them?
the site just for the renovation of the existing dwelling and the relocation of the shed.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for Scavos? Do I have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? So that carries unanimously. Okay, so orders of conditions, let's see, that one's out, that one's out.
You have them write up an order for approval for the Nantucket?
We had him write up an order for approval for the Nantucket project.
Yeah, it's here.
Have them write the copy of the conditions for the American Act on the funds.
So we did close Quidnet Properties.
Yeah.
Should we have an extra condition that says something to the, there he is, something to the effect of, a planting plan will be presented to, commission staff before work starts?
Is that a
19, yep.
So, I'm going to something down on record.
Okay.
We are. We planned as we got here.
It's going to be submitted with the septic plan.
That okay, Paul?
I'm sorry, I just walked in.
We have an extra condition on Quidnet Properties that the planting plan will be presented before work starts?
Perfect. Yep,
Okay, great.
no problem.
Okay, do I have a motion to issue this as amended?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Okay, let's kick back out of this and go back to David's show now. So the first one was Callahan at 4 Morgan Square.
Good afternoon, David Haynes for the applicant. This is a request to build a swimming pool in the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. It will maintain, all structures will be 50 feet. It's in an existing lawn. It is in a natural endangered species habitat, so we do have to wait. We will have to continue this for another 2 weeks, but till we hear from them. Everything will be at grade. It's basically a flat lawn between the two houses that are out there. There is a steep slope that drops down and then levels off. And then this was weed eater pond. And there's a flat area. The 100-year flood elevation does come in onto the site up to elevation 8, but it's right just below the toe of the slope, so we do not have a coastal bank there. So the 50-foot,
But everything's outside the 50.
Everything-
The fence is outside
the
50.
fence is
and everything?
outside of 50. Here is the 50-foot line, and here's the proposed fence. It's just inside of it, inside of an existing lawn area. So we'll be outside of 50. The 25 is undisturbed and will remain so.
And then no significant landscaping or grading or anything?
No. It's all pretty level. There might be a little bit of grading right over here. I mean, it's just the 16 contour comes in and goes out like that, but nothing, probably more than a foot, so that hasn't been considered significant grading in the past.
Okay. Any questions on this? Okay, so you need to come back for,
And I may not be at the next, what is the next meeting?
9.
I will not be at the next meeting. I will ask, I may ask the engineer to come in and represent it, but,
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming because it's in existing lawn, it's a structure associated with, it's technically exempt, and they usually don't say much about it. But I don't want to read their mind.
well, it seems like the commission is okay with it. Then, yeah, if anybody's got any problems, speak up now, so you,
That's fine.
I think it'll be fine. Great. Okay, so unless I hear an objection, we'll continue this till the night. Okay, thanks, David. Don't go anywhere unless you have to get some news. Okay, Booton, 21 Mass Ave.
David Haynes for the applicant. This is out on Mass Ave in Smith's Point. It's a septic repair, and the existing septic is out in the dune field. It's on the water side of Mass Ave. The existing septic system is being abandoned, and a tight tank is being installed. This is all in the buffer zone to a coastal dune. We're outside of the buffer zone. There's a salt marsh down in this area that we were more than 100 feet away from. It isn't shown, but there is a salt marsh that comes in the back of this dune field. And here, this turns into a barrier beach. Putting in a tight tank in the driveway area. Unfortunately, we have to excavate down about 8 or 9 feet to put it in, and so we're driving in sheet pilings around the excavation, dewatering with well points, and discharging to 2. We've got 2 dewatering basins here and here in sand. It's right next to the dune area, but it's existing lawn. We're going to take off the top, a little bit of topsoil that's there, surround it with hay bales and silt fence, and pump into those and try to get the infiltration we need. We've got 2 areas that are bigger than the area we're pumping out of, so we should be able to dewater it. One was done down the street, very similar to this.
So how do they pump this? Is there a tube coming up that comes up to the surface?
Well, they put in a series of dewatering wells, 2-inch wells, well points, and then they hook them to a manifold, and then they really pump them.
Okay.
But they're inside the sheet piling.
Yeah.
So the sheet piling goes deeper than your excavation, by several feet, and then the water that comes in has to come in from the bottom. You're really lucky if you hit a layer of silt or clay or something, so it cuts down on the flow coming in. But you've got a lot of water you're dealing with. But I think this should take care of it because it's got the same size area for infiltration that we have for dewatering, so it will.
Why does it have to be so deep?
The tank, you need a foot of cover. The tank is like 5 feet or 6 feet deep to get a 2. I mean, it's a holding tank, and so you are sort of.
You have to push concrete or something on the bottom?
Yeah, and there's crushed stone on the bottom.
So this
but
thing won't float out?
Right.
What's our elevation above sea level?
9 point, there's a spot, 8.8, 9.2. So it may not be, I mean, I was told that the water table was down about 2 feet, so that seems high to me.
Yeah, it sounds a little high.
You know, but any,
Okay, so there's
do it
another
on a low tide, you know.
fresh stone and then.
But, I mean, that's the way, to get a tank that's any kind of reasonable size in there, you gotta go a little bit deeper.
So you don't have to worry about these things floating out like, you know,
Well, they're concrete,
oh, okay.
and they also it has a foot of cover on top of it. Probably when they put it in, when they first put it in, they'll probably fill it with water to get it to sink, and then they'll pump the water.
I've just heard stories of swimming pools popping
Oh,
out
yeah.
of the ground, so
Yeah.
you don't need to anchor this to a layer of concrete or something.
No, this is gonna, I was told it was,
Well, it's an 8'7" tank, it's a large tank. Sometimes they have an extra pad on the bottom, bigger than the tank.
They'll do a buoyancy they'll have to do a buoyancy calculation for what else.
Okay.
So there could be a variation in the
So they're,
I think there may be one on there.
what they may do, sometimes they'll put a concrete slab on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on what the soil cover is. You gotta assume when they empty it, that's when you're concerned it'll pop back up.
Okay.
But they'll do the calculation for what else.
I think it's already done.
I'm sure it is.
I've seen this part of the plan, I haven't seen this.
Okay. Any other questions? Emily?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out there is a flotation calculation at the top of your plan.
Oh, okay.
I know
It
we,
sort of says on the bottom
Right.
additionally will be needed, but it's there.
Additional weight will be needed.
A couple thousand,
Ton extra.
an extra ton, yeah.
A lot of times the bottom is bigger, so it creates a lip.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's not be pushed up, but it pushes against the soil. They settle out.
Any other questions? Okay, let's see what it says here. So we need a waiver for groundwater, right?
yeah, and actually, we are also within the 25 feet of our dewatering thing is within 25 feet of the dune. It's long, we don't have any other choice of where to put it, and we are 2 feet to the water in the water table. So,
But it's a long-term net benefit then.
oh, yeah,
Compared to dumping right out there,
well, in the dune.
yeah. Close to the harbor there, so. If there's no further questions, anything else from the public? Okay, if not, ready to close here?
Oh, that would
Can
be
I have a
good.
motion to close?
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Now, you're not done yet. I think there's one more here. Okay, yeah. So amended orders, how'd you say that?
Mix sizzles.
51 Crooked Lane. We should have some kind of rule about a pronunciation guide.
I know,
Message.
when I announce them at my meetings, I really wing it. Sometimes I just give the address. Again, David Haynes for the applicant. This is a request for an amended order of conditions at 51 Crooked Lane. Last winter, we were before you for permission, this was an existing house, for permission to install the swimming pool on this property in the buffer zone. There was already an existing wall there. Whole area was raised up with a retaining wall that was supposed to be for the septic system. That was never put in because they hooked up to the sewer. There's an injector line that runs up Crooked Lane to Duke's Road. What was permitted was the repair of this wall and also the constructions of a set of stairs, but those stairs were actually constructed from the wall going out towards the wetland. There is a little patio area in there that's also closer to the wetland. This is all lawn in through this area, and then the wetland is down in through here. What we're asking for now, also a cabana was also part of that. This dry laid stone patio around the pool does extend just into 50. The wall that we asked to have repaired was in 50. What we're asking for now is there's an existing a double two-story porch on the end of the house here, and we'd like to make it bigger. It's about 5 feet now, correct? And we've 5.5. We're extending it to 8, but we'd also like to extend it over to the top of the wall, which is within 50 feet of the bordering vegetated wetland. The reason we'd like to go over there is because we would, when it was, it's an upside-down house, and so that's the kitchen, and we'd like to put a stairway in, a circular stairway to go down, and that's the only place we can put it on that face without blocking the door. Mark Poor is here. He's done the design on this, and he's got more. He's been to HTC and talked to HTC, and he's got more information about the placement of the porch and why it is where it is.
If I may, thank you. Mark Poor, Permits Plus for the applicant. When the applicant approached me through the builder for the expansion of this project, we looked at a number of issues on the site. And one of the things that became abundantly clear is that at the end of Crooked Lane, which is encompassed into the driveway onto this lot, is a public way. It's a walking path that runs through to the end of Crooked Lane. The Historic District Commission considers this a public access point and therefore within their jurisdiction in terms of how we approach a project with them in mind. Obviously, no project works in a vacuum because as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, we're working concurrently with various projects. But for this particular one, it was important to get a consideration and approval from the HDC first because it was a difficult project to begin with. And by a vote of 3-2, we obtained their approval for this project. And the concerns that they had for this project were the location of the spiral staircase that is developed in the plan. So I have 3 copies of the HDC approval with me if you would like to look at them in some fashion here. But due to the nature of the upside-down house, the development of pool, the development of cabana, the client was very much interested in making an easier, safer access down from the upper level portion of the house, dining room, kitchen, living room, down to that element here. The things that we look at the HDC level are different from what you would look at, different from what we look at the Zoning Board of Appeals, but the aspect of the location of the spiral stairs was important by virtue of the fact that further we were from the public way on Crooked Lane, the more we could conceal its application in the design context, the better opportunity we had to get approval from the Historic District Commission. And with that in mind, the deck needed to be extended out further because on the lower level form, because it's an upside down house, each bedroom that accesses the lower level deck has its own door that gets out of that, and that's basically shown in that plan there. And so the location of the spiral staircase had to be further away from the door so it wouldn't impact the access from that bedroom. So these are all part and parcel of going to the HDC in terms of the plan. So we felt at that level that it was an appropriate response to developing the extension of the deck from 5.5 feet to the 8 feet 6 to the outside of the deck to move the staircase far enough away so the door would not be compromised for the bedroom. In addition, the development of the deck was within the improved area above the stone wall that is part and parcel of the pool and cabana enclosure, the fence, the gates, all of those elements. So, you know, with HDC consideration in mind, that was the appropriate response to it. I doubt that they would have approved the spiral staircase in any other location based on their concern from the public's vantage point from Crooked Lane that this was an appropriate response. And again, there were only 3 people out of 5 that voted in the positive for this project. Happy to answer any other questions you have related to
As Mark said, this stairway is going, it's an area above the retaining wall. It's a lawn, garden area right there. It's flat. The only structural component that'll be in there is one post holding up the whole thing. Also, the set of stairs that was approved extended out here and was out in the lawn area and was closer. What they've done is they've rebuilt it and incorporated it into the wall there, so that it's farther away from the wetland. So this structure is farther away from the wetland, but at the same distance as this proposed deck is going to be. It's only an area of about 25 square feet, and it just about equals the square footage of the stairs that we moved. So
Where's the public right of way?
this is Crooked Lane. You drive into here, and then it's a walking path. It's discontinued.
So how does it have
No, that continues to remain. This set of stairs is now inside the boundaries.
Oh, for HDC, it's a public way, so
Our staircase is right
So basically,
above the retaining wall.
All boundaries
And this was previously approved, this?
I mean, it is landward of an existing structure and another structure out here.
Right, but that wasn't
Essentially,
a permitted
this,
structure,
what
right?
you're doing is coming in.
It was there.
It's
but-
there, yeah.
Right, but
I-
it wasn't,
I'm not sure what was completely
right,
permitted
from what when this came before us before.
But also, the delineate, when this house was permitted, the delineation was lower than what I believe.
but it does have that retaining wall there already, kind of separating that area from the wetland. And I sort of see this as kind of de minimis.
And the fact that we've moved a set of stairs farther away, we asked for the waiver for these stairs when they were over here. Now that would still require a waiver because it's still within 50, but it's farther away and it's.
Is it a waterproof deck?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
No.
Both decks are open to weather.
Well, it looks like a very elegant solution, I would say.
The only solution that we believe the HDC would approve.
Any other comments?
Just out of curiosity, how much closer to the corner is that deck than it was before? So how much is
There
it?
currently is a stone wall that's associated with the corner of the deck, and we're going as close as we can without compromising the build of that stone wall and the retaining aspect of that wall. So we're, I would measure about 4.5 to 5 feet closer to that corner than we were, which is a necessary area that we have to put in a 5.5 foot spiral staircase to meet egress requirements.
This is a photograph of, that's the area where that would be expanded. I'm sorry, I just went out there today.
I think if you look
Can
at
you
the
mail a
photographs of my
copy of this to
HDC
Jeff?
approval, you'll have a
Can you mail
very
a
good.
copy of that to Jeff?
Oh,
please?
yes.
Anything from the public? Well, let's get a sense of the commission on this before we go any further here.
I think it's, minimally disruptive. So I would tend to
agree.
Yeah, I like the steps of moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that we did eliminate the stairs
I don't
closing.
have a problem with it.
Ashley?
I guess it's fine.
Okay. So, in that case, I think the protocol on this is to close the hearing and issue the amended order. Now, do we need a waiver? I guess he's already got waivers to work in the.
We did ask for a waiver as part of the amended order.
Yeah, okay.
Justified it, but we did get a waiver previously for other structures within the
There's gonna draft orders,
Oh, we don't.
so we can just continue to the next meeting and look at the order in the next meeting. Close the hearing.
Does that work for you, David? We'll just, and then we probably don't even need you to show up. We'll just do the,
I don't know what the timing is. Is that okay?
Well,
Yeah.
obviously timing is everything, but we're not gonna.
okay.
That's fine, yes.
Okay, so unless I hear an objection, we'll continue this for 2 weeks. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
So now we're back to the orders and conditions again.
The other ones, I didn't do this.
We've all been trained. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the town of Nantucket,
All right, so we have a gentleman who wants to speak on this.
First waiting.
we continued that anyway, didn't we?
Sorry,
What's that?
what'd you say?
The town of Nantucket. Yep. Okay, the Crazy Road we continuing. This one is the Nantucket Road layout.
Did you hear that, Ernie?
What's that?
Joe emailed Erica, and Erica said basically it would be breaking the law to have any further public comments.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we can't take any more comment then.
Oh, I didn't say where it was. Typically once the hearing's closed, you can't take any more information, but if he wants to.
Oh, great.
That's what I said, he said what I said, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Could we ask for it?
Thank
Well,
God.
if we need clarification, we can ask for it, but I think,
Well, Ernie, he's here. Let's hear what he has to say. It's not breaking any rules.
okay, do you agree with that, Joe? We just hear
Yeah,
what
I'm
he
gonna
said.
email Derek and say she's gonna want to.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, sir, and let us hear what you have to say.
Mr. Chairman, member of the committee. I'm Bruce Mandel. I live at 10 Midland in Nantucket. What we have in front of us is we're trying to permit the immediate road layout on the plan submitted. These are the plans submitted. It's kind of a small copy, but there are several conditions listed in it. And one of the conditions is basically directing access into the Chicago Street and the lot. That's part of the conditions here. And when I was here last, I have a copy. We discussed several items that may impact this, and whatever items are listed here that are in the purview of the commission to perhaps amend the conditions, I think would expedite and make the project work better. Regarding the stormwater runoff, we talked about including engineered stormwater infrastructure or catch basins. And that's the primary purpose of this correction on Nantucket Road. Part of it is caused by the runoff, but it's not included in the conditions, although it was discussed. Regarding the rerouting of beachgoer traffic and signage directing the folks to Chicago Street lot and a beach access, if you remember, Dave discussed building a stairway down. That first of all, Chicago Street's not a public street. So maintaining it would be something we have to work out with the DPW.
Well, at this point, all.
I don't know if it's anything you can do about it.
I think anything like that, he's gonna have to come back in for an amended order or something, and then that'll be opened up again.
We don't want to delay, I don't want to delay the project. It's
No, we're
important
not.
that it move forward. I'll back everything off if that's going to delay the project.
No, it won't. No, this has nothing to do with
This
it.
is eroding faster than we're talking.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Dave, Dave's gonna get on it immediately.
Yeah.
I think he was, that was their first priority. But I think, yeah, to amend the order of conditions to include some additional
I'd like to
things.
amend it, especially if you're going to direct the people to Chicago Street and park them there. That Newton is eroding too. And we
Well,
need to
that's
put a
okay.
sacrificial berm there too, in order to protect that, if you're going to use it as
Well,
public
we
access.
can't expand the project like that. We've got to go with basically what Dave proposed and either approve it and get this going, and then as they're constructing it, he can come back in and amend it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, oh
to
yeah.
do?
Oh yeah, he can do it next meeting, he can have amendments. And we talked to Dave about this, that this is probably gonna be sort of an iterated project where it's gonna start with one thing and then, this is new, we haven't done these before. And so he's kind of, designing a new approach here, and he may, very likely, he's gonna have to come in and say, okay, we need to do something with that water. We wanna build some infiltration chambers, or we want to build some,
All right. I mean,
Yeah.
Dave feels it's something we can work out with DPW as construction begins or
and that's
progresses.
what- Yeah, and then he can come back in and amend the order. For any work he does in our jurisdiction, he'll have to come in and amend it, but we can't.
Yeah, we don't
We
design
don't
those.
wanna design the project and then have the town go, well, but.
All right, I'm not familiar with the process. I just thought that we might, looking at the conditions, we might amend it a little bit so it makes it easier. But if you think it's more proper to do it that way,
Yeah, talk to Dave about all these things.
I have. And
Oh,
Dave,
okay.
Dave has communicated with me, and, he said these are all great ideas for consideration, and he thinks we can work it out with the DPW on the go. I was just concerned that some of these items might require coming back to you rather than just being a workout.
Well, they might, but they probably will, but that's usually a hear it, if it's necessary, straightforward things that are in our normal purview, we can often take care of it at one meeting and get it issued.
That sounds like a deal.
Because it would just be an amended order or a minor mod or something like that, so,
Okay.
okay. Thanks for your
Thank you for your
concern.
consideration.
It's good to
Thank
have
you.
the public
Appreciate it.
involved.
Thank you.
Okay,
One other point of information.
yes, sir.
Bill Breeder, 10 F Street, Nantucket. I agree with what Bruce was talking about, and I also talked with Dave. The concern that I had, I'm not quite sure how the town addresses this, but while all of this talk is going on, and the discussion about spending money to alleviate this problem, during all this process, the town, in its infinite wisdom, is still depositing snow when there's plowing done on this very piece of tile we're talking about taking off. And so it's just exacerbating the problem while the town's going through its process to do what it needs to do. So whatever the means is, I would encourage this board and whoever else to try to, even if the administration is saying, well, yeah, that's silly that we're doing that, it's still happening. So whatever can be done to stop. Bruce actually went out and took pictures of it with new trails of erosion from the piles of snow that was dumped there. And it's actually a video, you can see it running out. So
Well, that would be something to take to Jeff's attention when he's back in, and maybe it needs an enforcement order.
well, that's what I'm
That's a
asking. Where does that come
possibility.
from?
That's probably where it would go, is to Jeff, and then
It could be an order of conditions.
it could
too.
be, it could be, but, again, I don't wanna put an order of conditions on the town without having to talk to them
Discussion
about
first,
it.
Yeah, they gotta be, they gotta,
Sure, they wouldn't
Yeah.
disagree.
gotta let them know what's happening.
Yeah, and maybe just if we threaten them with an enforcement order, that'll be enough to make them stop.
Yeah, I think the DPW should probably come into this because of a couple of things
Yeah.
that they're doing. I did walk the beach in Nantucket yesterday, from the end of, I guess, Mass Ave all the way up to this new parking lot on Chicago Street. I mean, the erosion certainly is bad out there. There are some spots it's hard to tell if like we're getting fresh water coming out of the banks a little bit, causing part of the problem. But the edge of the parking lot that they were talking about on Chicago Street, that has like the rubble stuff that the DPW dumps as hard pack, and it needs beach grass if we're going to stop runoff. My iPhone 3 takes such terrible pictures, but it's, you know, that's not going to help our situation, certainly.
So I think on here, number 21, you included that as the conditions after the mention.
Okay, yeah, let's look at this and just see if we can get this, because it's obvious you're gonna have to do some improvements on this.
You want to email me tomorrow and touch base with Jeff?
And I think maybe.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
Was a planting plan ever submitted for this? Or is that to be submitted for approval?
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't remember seeing a detailed planting plan. I think he talked about beach grass though, mostly, to stabilize it. And I'm pretty sure he talked about beach grass, which is, I just have a feeling they're gonna really have to do some modification on this to get that to hold up.
Yeah, I have a note here that you mentioned that last meeting. On here, so do you want us to add that outlook and planting?
Possibly, where, just how they're gonna mitigate the water a little bit with the with plantings. And on the side note, the snow fence has got to stop out there. It's like all over the beach. And some of it's like brand new. And then you see a roll that someone's like about to set up, you know, at another property. It's not working.
There's a lot.
Well, we gotta just do some enforcement orders and either get that out of there then or something. Come in and get a permit, or at least or try to get a permit. But that's another thing to talk to Jeff about then, about getting, going down there and looking at that beach. Okay, so is there anything else on the Nantucket Road layout plan of Nantucket before we issue this? Or until we see if we want to issue this, I should say. If not, do I have a motion to issue as drafted?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously.
Jeff, do you have another, I think I got either a different one or an old one.
Okay, then we have,
Do you have another, order of conditions packet?
Oh, the information?
Just the packet, I think I got either,
You didn't get one?
I didn't get one, I got an old one, I think, or a different one.
This one? Let me this one.
the next one up is the Hummock Pond Road layout.
Yeah, bring that and Nantucket and home.
This is pretty much the same, it looks like.
Exactly.
This is another one where that road, I was out looking at that, there's a long run, downhill run to this thing, and it's gonna
Right,
be
we
a
need to
real,
try and construct some
yeah, they're gonna have to.
ledges on the sides and stop the water further back.
It's unfortunate, it's something we should have discussed with him during the application
Well, we
process.
did talk, it wasn't mentioned, but,
And I'm skeptical of the DPW performance with this.
Well, why don't we get them in here?
Yeah, I think they should be
that.
in here.
Oh, and who do we want in here? Silvio? Is that his name? Silvio?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get Silvio in to just.
just discuss, just
to
talk about,
discuss it,
just to
to
have a
get-
conversation.
Yeah,
Kind of about all these beach properties.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a motion to issue the Hummock Pond Road layout order of conditions as drafted. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Okay, that's all that. Okay. Okay, enforcement actions, 9 Main Avenue.
Hello. Paul Santos, Nantucket Surveyors. This is actually a request for a friendly enforcement order, if you will, for the property at 9 Main Avenue. This is the property as it stands today. Ashley was mentioning the Nantucket area. This is what was the corner of Main Avenue. This is the dwelling we're talking about. We're within about 33 feet of the eroding shoreline. And what we have done is asked for a enforcement order to proceed with the building department filings to get the building picked up and moved to another location on the applicant's same property. We have, in addition to filing the request for the enforcement order, filed a full notice of intent for the work on the property, which will be heard at the next meeting. So that's already been done. And ultimately, what will happen here is actually all the work that's proposed will be done outside of the jurisdiction of the commission, but the fact that the structure as it sits now is within the, between the 25 and 50 and the 50 and 100. At the end of the day, this structure will go to this piece on the property, and we'll relocate the shed that's here over to this piece of the property, all outside of the 100 right now. But that's what, so that's what the request is for. Essentially, we want to at least get the building up and out of the way while we do the permitting, so it's not in danger of going into okay. You want that one or the? Yeah. Oh, then these are the photos there.
Okay, so this is really just trying to prevent not a very good situation.
Yeah, the enforcement order will give us additional time ahead of the notice of intent to just get the building picked up, put elsewhere on our property, and doing it with working in the jurisdictional area, having you allowed to do it that way. Gets the utilities cut off, gets the building up, gets it moved, but the building department can't issue any of that work until they have an enforcement order to go with it, or a valid order of conditions, which is going to take some more time. I mean, right now we've got 33 feet, but a couple of good storms and who knows where we'll be. Actually, I think at the last meeting you issued a similar enforcement order for
12 and 14.
Yeah, 12 and 14, which that building has been picked up and slid off. Yeah, I think they may have been going to some other property, but ours is actually going to stay within. We have room on my client's property to do what he's got to do.
Any questions for Paul? Okay, do I have a motion to issue the enforcement order for Barthon at 9 Main Ave?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That carries unanimously.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, so approval of minutes. It's from our last meeting in February 10th. Okay, that was the last meeting. If there's no comments, we'll approve the minutes by unanimous consent. Okay, hearing nothing, those minutes are approved. Okay, report, CPC.
I wasn't there.
Okay. NPDDC.
Let's try this.
If truth be told.
Andy,
Oh, NPC, nothing.
nothing?
Be there?
Mosquito Control Committee.
Nothing yet.
Anything else on committee stuff? Anything on commissioners' comments?
This might be better when Jeff's around, but I just want to address, I guess, the pipes discharging into the harbor from people's homes and draining wetlands and things. I know there were some we talked about in the Monomoy area, just who those belong to, and then when I was checking out ways for the town, I think I went to the wrong spot, and someone's discharging out of their bulkhead, and I just wondered.
So like some pumps.
Some pumps probably. There's a lot of flooding going on.
Yeah, but just kind of what the status is with that.
We should just talk about that with Jeff, because I know they did a bunch of work in the town area about discharges.
Right.
So we'll bring that up next time. Anything else?
Just about the different pipes discharging in the harbor.
I have a curiosity question about the quays. I was over there out there the other day, and that road and parking area is pretty steep, and I'm curious. I mean, he's not here to discuss their plans, but you know, you have all that runoff. What's the better? You know, infiltrating it into. There's not much space for infiltration. There's not much space. What's the lesser of two evils?
This
Just
is
direct it down onto the
the
beach, or
cavern is.
direct it into the wetland? I mean, it's.
This is where like the cavern is forming, you're talking?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the caverns forming mostly because there's so much water from the road.
I don't know if it is water from the road though, because when I was out yesterday, it's seeping. It was flowing. So it's fresh water flowing.
Oh, you think it's groundwater coming out of there?
Through that
Yeah.
one particular area, because it was flowing, it was, yeah, low
Yeah,
tide.
so
We
it's-
hadn't had rain, and I thought, oh, this is like a little seep coming out.
Interesting.
So
Does make
we-
the question of what's appropriate for diverting water to
Yeah.
the road into a wetland or onto the beach. Kind of the.
No, this is, you're talking about, this is.
Yeah, the quays. It's not like I have a hard time seeing you could infiltrate it very easily. There's a lot of clay up there.
I know, and it's like there's that lawn right on the side
And you
too,
got
so you know
property.
it's running
Yeah.
off that lawn.
Yeah.
Is there any way to pitch it back, really?
It's pretty. You got to put a lot of fill on there.
He mentioned it. He said it would take way too much.
It would be obscene amount of fill. I don't know. It's an interesting point.
I wonder what some plantings could do with that too.
Yeah. Just, well, if it's groundwater, it seems like you have to just sort of let it.
The one area where it's seeping, it's definitely,
Yeah.
it's definitely groundwater flow.
Well, this is gonna be an interesting series of actions that are gonna be done out there, and I guess we'll have to let it develop.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on it.
Anything else from the commission? I just wanna thank Joe for stepping
Joe,
up.
good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
He got us out of here within an hour.
All right.
Actually, a record.
That's gotta be
Okay,
You know,
anything, any staff reports?
On plant establishment, I think, Wilkinson is onto something with their, pre-germinated, what do they call those things?
Corals, those.
Yeah.
How does it fare? How did it
I
fare?
wonder, I don't know, has anybody seen that?
I haven't had
There was a dead seal on the beach. We couldn't get that far with the dog. I
Oh,
wanted
you're
to check it
such a
out
s-
the other day.
You're such a spoil sport.
It's like 3 days worth of stink even with the shower.
Been waiting all his life for that.
Yeah.
I sent you all the email today about the conference.
Yes,
so
thank
that
you.
everyone is interested.
I need to look that over still.
I'll review it.
I didn't get it.
It is worth going at least once.
I'd like to go there. We're going up the night before. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Because
It starts at 8, where is it? It's in Holy
it's
Cross.
in Holy Cross, Worcester. So let's stay in the Cape or stay in Worcester.
I know, part of me thought stay in the Cape and get up the road.
I don't know. Worcester. Oh, everyone knows the Cape. That's not the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Worcester's beautiful.
Thought about it. I'm thinking about it. And what time would we go to the end of the conference?
Probably. I'll double check.
So you could probably take like the three
I
workshops.
Yeah, and then just teach
You might have to leave.
Right.
That's the ninth,
I've got
right?
to do some examination.
I thought it was the 5th.
Fifth.
It is.
Oh,
The fifth is next
But
weekend.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
But the way it's scheduled, we're gonna have to implement the rules and stuff, it's 8 o'clock.
I will not be making that.
Well, contact Joe if you're gonna.
Okay, yeah.
Back.
For the first, right?
Yeah, and then actually, you do have to come to a workshop if you don't want to do one of the units, which I didn't realize till I just signed the jokes at today. So, email me with any questions.
Okay, if that's
Motion to
it.
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? That carries unanimously.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, Emily, you wanna give me a ride so we can talk biochar a little bit?
Sure.
What do you talking biochar, you say?
Yeah.
I'd like to,
Oh, biochar.
I'm not gonna ride with you guys, but I would like a little more information.
You'd love to be a fly
Is
on
it,
the wall.
is it available?
Toby and I are gonna build a kiln and we're gonna build
Apparently
a
I
kiln.
am too.
Yeah, well, she's involved out at
Yes.
Dylan Wallace's
Yeah.
property, because it's right by the school, so we're doing it kind of as a school project, but they didn't really want it on their, I think they were afraid of liability.
Yeah, right.
So, but we're kind of gonna work with the kids on it and,
Cool.
and try it, and Dylan and, can try it, and other people, I think we need to make it available to people, if other
How
people.
much can you produce?
Well, I mean, it's not gonna be a big kiln, so it's gonna be fairly small batches, but if we keep it running,
Yeah.
I don't know how long it takes, we've never done this before.
Yeah.
But what I'd really like to do is make it out of all that fountain grass, like bundles of that fountain grass, because then it'll already be nice and fine, you won't have to grind it,
Right, right.
because it's better if it's
Man,
smaller
you get
pieces.
So,
Plenty of that in the fall.
Oh, yeah.
so the idea is to fire the kiln with invasives or something?
No, you actually load the invasives into a airtight container that just has an exhaust valve,
Can you make it
and then you heat it so it
Just
uses
heat
up
it.
all the oxygen,
Right.
and then it just dries off
Dries
and
it
becomes
up.
volatile, and it just leaves basically charcoal.
Can you
Oh.
smoke down some phragmites or what?
Well, we could collect a whole bunch of frag from the clip and drip projects and,
Well,
dry
I mean,
it,
it
and
doesn't
then-
matter what it is, right?
it's just gotta, I think you could do paper if you wanted to, cardboard if you did. Then I think we should get leftover lumber, good clean 2x4s and make charcoal briquettes out of it. And sell charcoal, locally produced charcoal.
And what's the fuel?
Well, part of it is you recycle the gases that are driven off are methane, carbon
From
monoxide,
burning wood or something.
and then you burn that.
Right.
So you burn it
Gets
up.
into a cycle once it heat up,
Yeah,
it'll
then
be
you-
self-sustaining.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
Yeah,
self-sustaining.
It's all good, yeah.
Apparently, you can find in the third world, they have stoves that they use inside for cooking, biochar stoves that heat and cook and make biochar for the garden. Now, I don't know, that's a little bit suitable as heck for America.
You can see the liability issue.
I've been trying to get my hands on like quantities of it for use, because I've heard this, I have this piece of equipment called airspace.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, I just
simply
support